And welcome back to Sports the NEMO Way, the Dirk Nowitzki episode. The 7-foot, 245-pound power forward is a one-time champ, one-time MVP. He's a 14-time All-Star, 12-time All-NBA, playing 21 years in the league, all for the Dallas Mavericks. And after being the 9th pick in the draft and is not yet a Hall of Famer, but he has not been on the ballot yet. With career averages of 27 and 2, on 47% shooting. And now I will kick to Wade, who has him ranked the highest of anyone at number 12 overall and number 3 on his power forward list. Wade?
All right. Well, I'm a big fan of Dirk. He's one of my more favorite players on the list. Another player that I got to grow up watching. He started his prime as I was, getting to the age where I could really watch basketball and knew what was going on. I watched him win his championship against the Heat, and I watched him lose his championship against the Heat, and all that good stuff. Like I said in the last episode or two, everyone at this point has phenomenal accolades and stats, and he's no different. Amazing stats and accolades. He is an MVP, a Finals MVP, a champion. Double-digit All-Stars, double-digit All-NBAs, all super impressive. But Dirk made his money on the offensive end. His offensive game was just absolutely amazing. I've talked on here on a few different people about how much I think shooting is important and how it's the most valuable thing offensively, in my opinion. And to be a power forward and be able to have the offensive versatility and skills that he had, not only was it amazing and gave him opportunities to do so much offensively, but it then opened up the floor for his entire team, making him much easier to play with than other power forwards. In my opinion, if I had to pick one power forward on all of our lists that I would want just for offense, I would pick Dirk. His offensive versatility and his shooting ability, like I said, helps his teammates get easier baskets and helps the offense run, I think, better than everyone else offensively. I'm aware there are people that average a little more points, and I believe Karl Malone has more point totals. I think he's the only one, though. Dirk did score over 30,000 points.
I think that he's, one of 8 guys to get to 30?
Yeah, I think he's at like 31,000 and some. Mm-hmm. And not just, he wasn't just a great shooter for a big man. He's just flat out one of the greatest shooters in NBA history. I think that's really important. It's not just a power forward thing. He was one of the greatest free throw shooters ever. He is probably the greatest 3-point shooting power forward ever. Unless I'm forgetting someone that someone can point out, but I think he's got that locked up.
Ryan Anderson.
I don't. Yeah. I mean, he was a good shooter, I guess. Yeah.
I was just messing with you.
But then, but the one weakness of Dirk was defensively. Now, I will say, I think sometimes people remember old Dirk, who was god awful at defense. But prime, go on.
I was going to say, he just couldn't move at the end of his career.
Yeah, right.
He looked like he was wearing cinder blocks of shoes.
That's what people kind of remember. And he was never a great defender or even really a good defender. But in his prime, I mean, he was smart. He'd be in the right spot. He'd make the right rotations. He'd play help defense. And most of all, he tried, unlike some superstars we talk about on this list. He'd try hard. He is 7 foot tall. He contests shots. He was good enough to not be a liability. He was okay. Which was good enough. In his prime, he'd get you 8 to 10 boards. He did what he had to do, and he kind of had a soft label when he was younger, but I really don't think he was really that soft. Maybe when he started, but he worked on it. He actually had a very underrated ability to put his shoulder down and drive to the basket when he got it up on him for his jump shot. That was actually one of his go-tos, and he would finish strong in the paint. And last but not least, I've said this before, but in my lifetime, he has the most impressive championship I've ever seen. By defeating a super team that's the lone superstar in the Mavericks.
By the way, we found a big man that weighs more than Kevin Durant. Just so everybody's aware, he weighs 5 pounds more than Kevin Durant.
Well, they have Durant at 240.
Yeah,
Yikes.
It's not 240. I think of.
that's more than David Robinson, more than Karl Malone.
David Robinson is like a professional bodybuilder.
Yeah.
Durant.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to see these guys scale.
I'll see him next to each other.
Well, not only some of the guys you talked about probably weigh way more than that, but Durant weighs probably way less than that.
Well, my thing is, I would assume most of those guys weigh more than Dirk, more or less Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
And they're taller than Durant. It's not like Durant has the height advantage on them. Those guys are bigger.
Some of them, yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And he has over double the amount of win shares as Allen Iverson. So just throw that in there.
I think this is. I think I said this in another episode. I think I was wrong that episode, but I do believe this is the second highest one we've ever seen.
Yeah, he's in the 200s.
Yeah,
pretty good.
206.
And his PER, which is probably the most commonly used one in basketball for advanced analytics, is 22, which is really good.
Honestly, I don't know what is good and bad on PER. So it could be. I have no idea.
I say, what is PER?
Oh, fuck. Last time I tried to explain this, everyone looked it up and they didn't understand the equation.
Oh, God.
No, that was
She never explained PER to us.
I thought
That's what I was saying. Last time I tried to explain it in advanced
Oh,
analytics, everyone got
okay.
mad about
Well,
it.
we started trying to do the formula, and the formula wasn't working.
Yeah, I don't know how to do the formula on any of this, but PER, I believe they take. It's some sort of it stands for something efficiency rating, personal efficiency rating. It takes in everything you do on the floor and how productive you are, and it's just a rating system. The highest ever is Michael Jordan at like 26 something, and Dirk's at 22.
I'm not saying. Are you saying the greatest accumulative or?
It's some sort of rating system that involves.
No, I get that, but what I'm saying is are you saying his career is 26 or he had a single season of 26?
No, his career was like 26
Okay.
something. It's the highest of all time.
Got you.
Or maybe it's 28 or 26. I actually have it saved on a
I don't-
screenshot for a trivia question.
I literally have no idea about PER. I mean, I hear it all the time on podcasts and TV and stuff, but I don't know how to figure it or anything like that. But I do know, I can't remember, 2 years ago, I think, Giannis was had the greatest PER season in the history of basketball.
Well, I can. Okay, the top 10 players in PER of all time are Jordan, LeBron, Anthony Davis at 3, Shaq, the Admiral, Wilt, Bob Pettit, Durant, Chris Paul, and Harden.
Well, the list, PER has to be shit because Bob Pettit's on it, so.
Oh, that's from great career. I thought you were gonna say Anthony Davis.
Well,
I was turning my head when Wade said Anthony Davis. I don't know how.
I think it's personal efficiency rating, something like that.
Player efficiency rating.
Yeah.
John Hollinger's all-in-one basketball rating.
yeah.
Yeah. So I think so. Was that kind of right? Takes in everything you do into some sort of rating system, and then.
Yeah, I do remember that he invented that now that you said that, John Hollinger. All right, well, we kind of got off on tangent
He has
there.
a high PER. That was my point.
Got you. The next is Ray, who has him 14 overall, so only 2 spots behind Wade, and also 3 on his power forward list. Ray?
All right. So I'm not going to get into nothing deep about the whole career because I figured everybody would cover that. So I just want to talk about the 2011 finals that he won that championship on because that was a phenomenal series. And he left it all on the floor and he whipped all their fucking asses. I think there was a point in that series where he was hitting it was 40 straight free throws. He couldn't miss there. He couldn't be stopped shooting the ball. You couldn't stop him in the fucking paint. The man was just killing people. And the Heat were lucky they even got 2 wins out of that series, to be totally honest. But Dirk just said, fuck it, I'm winning this series, and that's what he did. And it's not like he had the most phenomenal team, but he had a pretty solid squad. And for the Heat to even lose to that with the big 3 and then that super team, that's a fucking devastation to the soul for the Miami Heat. Because you got beat by Sean Marion, you got beat by Tyson Chandler, and what was it?
Jason Kidd with his walker out there.
Yeah, with his walker, and then Jason Terry's old ass. So I mean, Dirk's old ass beat that super team, and it was phenomenal. And that's all I really want to bring up. So,
Well, you left out one of the big names there, Ray.
who's that? Mario Chalmers.
Deshaun Stevenson was the starting two guard for that team.
Oh yeah, he was terrible.
I thought you were going to say J.J. Barea.
J.J. Barea did shut down LeBron for 2 games. So, yeah.
LeBron stopper.
Real quick, as it says here, PER takes into account your field goals, free throws, 3-pointers, assists, rebounds, blocks, and steals, and your negative results such as missed shots, turnovers, and personal fouls. But there's also, like most advanced analytics, some people say it's a very flawed way of looking at things.
Like there's no it doesn't take into effect like your shooting percentages or anything.
Well, it says it takes into account missed shots.
Oh, missed
shots, turnovers, and personal fouls.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's just a different way of looking at things.
Honestly, I mean,
advanced analytics.
We have a ton of analytics in all sports now, but I just think it's impossible to have one stat encompass everything. You know, like I think analytics can help you do certain things. I just find it really hard in any sport when they're like, "Hey, we now have this one thing, and it tells you how good a player is." Period. You know what I mean? Like we have WAR in baseball, and we have.
That's all they use now in baseball.
I know it's
WAR.
The MVP is like the WAR award.
Like, and they have this tracker on ESPN during every baseball season that tracks all the Hall of Famers Mike Trout passes throughout the year, and he's already passed like a quarter of the Hall of Fame in WAR.
Because it's an accumulation award, so he's just going to keep accumulating WAR the longer he plays.
Not anymore. He keeps getting hurt.
Well, that's true. But I mean, and you know, in football, all we hear about is QBR and all those things how good a quarterback is. So I think it's hard. I'm not saying they should, invent better things to think they should be able to do it. I'm just saying I think it's too hard to encompass everything into one single stat.
This part right here says some people think PER is overly complex. They say it doesn't account enough for defense and it overvalues scoring.
Huh.
So
interesting.
There's, I don't know. I really wasn't trying to deep dive into it. I was just saying he had a high PER.
That's something we've never talked about, so I'm not against it.
Yeah.
Are you done, Ray?
Yeah, I'm good. You go ahead.
All right. Well, next is me, who also has Dirk at 14 overall, but I have him 4th on my power forward list instead of 3 like the first 2 guys. I don't have a ton for my opening statement on Dirk. First off, he is a member of the 50-40-90 club, but he's the only 7-footer in the club. So, interesting. Yeah, interesting little thing there. And I also, grew up watching Dirk. I agree with a lot of what Wade said earlier. I think he did get labeled with the soft label. And I think he was at the very beginning of his career. He came over here and didn't expect the physicality of the NBA game and it was pretty soft at the beginning. But I do think he grew out of that. Wade talked about offensively how he, used to abuse smaller guys and, put his shoulder into, all those things. But defensively, even guys stopped going through him on the way to the basket. Mm-hmm. He was able to absorb contact and not just let guys bowl him over on the way to the basket. And to touch on what Ray said, that finals is one of the craziest memories of my basketball watching career. Yeah. And we have to remember who the guys were that were taking turns trying to guard Dirk and stop him in that series. Everyone. Bosch caught him for a lot of that series, but LeBron tried to guard him for long periods of time. Shane Battier tried to guard him for long periods of time. What's up?
Udonis Haslem.
Yep, Udonis Haslem tried to guard him for long periods of time. I do believe Joel Anthony tried to guard him for some periods of time there. And depending on who was guarding him, it depended on how he attacked him, like a smart player.
That's what I'm saying. His offensive versatility was through the roof.
Right. He would get a mismatch with a smaller guy on him. I'm going to the post. Or the elbow and backing you down and either shooting a little jumper over you or you're just laying the ball in over you. Or, you get a big guy on him, Joel Ant, anything like that, I'm going to take you out of the perimeter. And he was just so dynamic and how he was able to attack all these guys. And there was also a period of time, I think this is kind of what broke it, this series we're talking about here, is that like everybody's like, oh, you just got to put athletes on Dirk. You just got to put athletes on Dirk. We don't get much more athlete than LeBron and Bosh.
Yeah.
And he tore them a new one in this series. And
he even had some great, had a couple great blocks, iconic blocks in that series too.
I think by this point in his career, this is my opinion, I think by this point in Dirk's career, he was just so tired of all the labels. He was so tired of things that had happened to him because, at this point in his career, we still had the label on Dirk, and for the most part, it was probably true that he was a choker. Yeah. And Drew talks about the 2-0 lead in series. Well, he had a 2-0 lead on the Heat, and then lost 4 straight games in the finals. And that team won like 67 games or something like that.
And they're the ones that lost to the We Believe Warriors in the first round.
Yeah, that was the next thing I was going to bring up. They were the 1 seed that lost to an 8 seed in the first round of the playoffs. In Dirk's MVP season. They got beat by Baron Davis and those Warriors. Yeah. And it was, he got a choker label, and he couldn't shake it until he did this. And I think what Ray was talking about is like he was scratching and clawing and biting and doing whatever it took to try and get victories in this series. I remember watching this series, and I had no rooting interest because, I'm not a Mavericks or a Heat fan, but just being anxious because it was so climatic.
Yeah,
it was a hell of a thing.
It was just so up and down at points because there would be times where the Mavericks would be down like 10 points and then they'd just scratch back. And then it'd be down like 5 points and they would scratch back. And then all of a sudden they'd come out with like a 5-point win, but they'd grind it out.
Well,
it was crazy.
In the last 2 minutes of the game, it was give the ball to Dirk and get the fuck out the way.
Yeah.
It was kid dribble the ball at the floor, throw the ball to Dirk at the elbow, and everybody get out of the way. And he found a way to get buckets and win at the end.
The underrated part is outside of Dirk, people like Jason Terry and J.J. Barea played out of their minds.
Yeah, they did.
And then Kidd and Marion defensively and Chandler all pitched in a lot too.
And Deshaun Stevenson, guys, come on, we gotta quit forgetting him.
Oh yeah, that's like my third favorite player ever.
Dirk's playoff numbers are insane too. For his career, it's pretty. His averages for his entire career in the playoffs are 25, 10, 2.5 assists, a steal, and a block. So it's pretty. And he made the playoffs from 2001 to 2016 every year except one. So he was a monster. And he never played on a super team either.
Not only did he not play with a super team, I don't think he ever played with a superstar in their prime. He played with Nash and Kidd, but he played with Nash before he was Nash, and he played with Kidd as an old man.
Yeah. There were some good Maverick teams in there, but they was kind of Dirk the superstar and then just some good to decent players sprinkled in.
Michael Finley.
Josh Howard.
Yeah.
Tyson Chandler. Stuff like that.
Yeah, guys that made an all-star team or two, but they weren't superstars. Yeah.
Did you ever have Mashburn on the team? Or was that after Mashburn?
Mashburn played with Kidd when Kidd was there the first time.
I think Mashburn was there when Dirk got drafted.
Okay.
It's like him and Jimmy Jackson and Jay Kidd. But then they all got moved shortly after that, I believe.
By the way, speaking of the draft, I got to touch on this before I kick it to somebody else. I don't know who the GM of the Bucks was, but they drafted Dirk and then traded him straight up for Robert Tractor Trailer. Somebody had to have lost their job.
He's a big old boy. Yeah, I'll show you.
He's a big fat guy.
Oh yeah, he was.
Tractor Trailer.
Yeah.
Like, so somebody had to have lost their job. Like 3 or 4 years later, when he's in the MVP conversation and going on playoff runs and busting ass, and you got a backup center, like,
and Trailer's on the all nickname team.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, what? I mean, I didn't even know anything about Dirk when he came out, so I can't. Not that I was scouting people at that point in time in my life, but
that's their job.
Yes, exactly. Like, I'm not saying you had to know Dirk was going to turn into what he did, Because probably nobody knew that, really. But to be better than Tractor Trailer?
Yeah.
Well, that's weird.
Drew, this is Tractor Trailer at probably his slimmest.
Oh,
That's him when he's young.
he looks like a left tackle.
He gets a lot fatter than that, and I think he actually passed away recently.
I think
Oh,
he
really?
did.
I think he passed away like last year or something.
Tractor trailer. I can't. When Alex said that, I'm like, who?
Even when he was at Michigan, he's big.
Yeah, he was. All right, well, now that'll kick to the next person, and we have quite the jump here. It'll be Uncle Doug, who has him at 27 overall, so 13 spots behind me, and 6 on his power forward list, 2 spots behind me. Uncle Doug?
Yep. As far as the overall rank, I haven't looked too much about my overall changes. He's probably going to change a little bit on the power forward list because of the whole Elvin Hayes thing.
Mhm.
But I still struggle with he and KG. Right now, I have KG behind him, but to me that's a tough one. Those two are right there together. Dirk, like I said, is 31,000 points, 6th all time on the scoring list. He is 27th on the rebound list with 11,000. And like everybody else said, he said everything he can about that one series. That one series was phenomenal. Just unbelievable when he won that title. The reasons probably that he's down my list a little bit is the rebounding and the defense. And I mean, everybody's mentioned that as well. I will throw this out pre-trivia. Talk about he was number 9 in the draft because Alex mentioned the draft. Number 10 in the draft, Paul Pierce. 1 spot behind him. Number 5 in that draft, 4 spots ahead, Vince Carter. There were 5 all-star players in that draft. Dirk, Paul, Vince Carter, Antoine Jameson actually went number 4.
Him and VC were traded for each other.
Right. And Rashard Lewis that went 32. So
Okay.
anyway, so now you know it's not going to be a draft trivia question.
I got the damn draft this time. Too.
You did?
Yeah, I did. I said the first time in like 7 weeks. I was
Damn.
like, you know what? Let's look up the '98 draft.
So there's no way he's gonna do it again. We're all catching on. So there's no way I didn't do it.
Yeah, well, I just after Alex mentioned it, I've got a couple. I had a draft question, but I thought, let's just go ahead and talk about the draft.
Skip to my lose in that draft too.
Was he?
Ray for Austin.
Okay, but yeah, Dirk was. I was sitting there rooting for him like crazy. I wanted him to take that Heat team out. So
Yep.
it was a great series.
Good. All right, and that obviously leaves us with Drew, who has another sizable jump here. At 37 overall, 10 spots behind Uncle Doug, and 8 on his power forward list, 2 spots behind Uncle Doug. Drew?
Oh, well. He'll probably come up, I think, 2 spots in the power forward list because Elvin Hayes crisis and
Crisis.
Wow.
Crisis of Infinite Earths.
and then Anthony Davis. When I made the list, he was coming off his championship and looking good. Well, now he's down in the dumps, barely playing basketball anymore and having an awful season. So yeah, that will probably change. I haven't looked overall wise, but I'm gonna keep my opening statement short just to the 2011 playoffs. Because it wasn't just the finals. He dominated everyone on that stretch to get to the finals. He beat Kobe and Powell. Basically told Kobe, you're done for now. Or not done for now, done forever. He wasn't going to give him a three-peat. I think he played... I don't remember who he played in the second round, but I think in the Western Conference Finals he played the Young Thunder, Kevin Durant, Harden, Westbrook, and all of them. And he delayed them for a little while, didn't give them another opportunity. And then the super team that just formed, he said, screw them, I'm going to beat them. And he did, with a bunch of old guys. Oh, not all of them were old, but they weren't world beaters, let's be honest.
Yeah, you're right, Drew. They beat Portland in the first round. They beat the Lakers in the second round, the Thunder in the third round, and then obviously the Heat in the finals.
All right, so I flip-flopped first and second round, but I think it was impressive all the way around playoffs. Everyone talks about the finals, but I think what he did throughout the whole playoffs was just impressive. He just dominated. He just decided to shut the haters up, and he did.
Well, D-Wade and LeBron just blatantly mocked him during the middle of the series.
They did.
And it came back to bite him.
Yep.
Speaking of what you said, Drew, in the first round against Portland, he averaged 27 on 45% shooting, so nothing like super spectacular. And then he goes to the second round against LA, which they swept LA, by the way. And he averages 25 on 57% shooting.
Yeah.
So they really steps up his game. Then he goes to play the Thunder and averages 32 points a game on 55% shooting. And then he goes to the finals where he averages 26. So
What happened to Serge Ibaka and Pau Gasol? Jeez.
Yeah.
The defense wasn't doing too well.
I actually watched some highlights from that playoff run, and Gasol made quite a few appearances in that highlight package. So I don't remember watching that series off the top of my head, to be honest with you. But like as many times he showed up in the highlight package, I'm going to say that Dirk kind of had his way. I mean, Dirk obviously had his way with somebody, but I mean, I guess Lamar Odom would have been there that time too. I'm sure he spent some time guarding him, and maybe Trevor Ariza, but so obviously nobody was stopping him.
Artest.
Was Artest there that time?
Ariza was there for the
Ariza was the first one, then they
swapped him.
Okay.
Because that would have been coming off of Kobe's 5th championship.
Yeah, okay. Yep,
And then
I think you guys
next
are right. Yeah. My bad. Is that all you had, Drew?
Yep, that's it.
All right, well, let's ask the obvious question, guys. And I'm not going to phrase it as in could he. I'm just going to say, how would Dirk fare, not only today, but let's say in previous basketball eras, so like the 80s and 90s?
Well, he'd definitely be great today.
Yeah.
I mean, stretch 4, he's got that.
I just think today he'd be a center, and he would shoot 10 or 12 threes a game.
Yeah,
Instead of 5, he'd shoot 10.
I think he'd be great today.
Well, the thing to keep in mind, he starts dominating the NBA before the handshake is taken away. Because that's in what, 04, 05 or something like that? Somewhere in that vicinity?
I think that's what we discussed, and that was the AI episode. I think
so. Yeah.
I mean, he's already averaged over 20 points per game, 3-4 times at that point. So I think he's just fine. I don't think his game is really affected by really anybody. Kind of the way I thought about when we were talking about Kevin Durant. They just get to their spot, and they have that unstoppable shot, and they're just going to make it. I mean, like I said in the KD episode, I had Dirk as the second most unstoppable shot behind the skyhook. He was 7 foot tall. He did that one-legged, goofy fadeaway behind his head. You couldn't block it, and it was money.
Well, not only did he do exactly what you just said, but he raised his front knee so you couldn't get into him to block it, or try and block it.
Yeah.
Like that's the reason he did he had the 90-degree knee every time he shot. Every single time he shot it, it was because you would hit it instead of getting into his body to get at his hands.
He was literally just unstoppable with his size and his shooting ability. There's nothing you can do about it. So in any era, he's going to get his shot off. He's 7 foot tall. His shooting ability is through the roof. I mean, and that was his game. He got to his spots on the elbow, down on the block certain spots, and then he would, pop out for the occasional wide open threes, and he just wasn't going to miss those.
So, I agree with you guys. That, he's not a strong defender, so it's not like he was, D'ing dudes up, and we're like, oh, he couldn't D dudes up today. He wasn't a good defender, so the things he struggled with then he's going to struggle with now. But offensively, I think he thrives in today's NBA. I guess here's my question. I don't know if it's super answerable, to be honest with you. But so let's say this is the mid-'80s. Dirk comes out. I have no doubt that Dirk could score. But in the 80s, they didn't allow big men to play like Dirk played. Like, it was just, if you're going to do that, we're not going to let you play. Do you think Dirk adjusts and becomes a really great post player if that is the case?
Oh, I don't know.
He might. I could see him adjusting, becoming he definitely had to get more physical, too.
Yeah,
Or he wouldn't be able to
that
last,
would be the one question for
Ewing
me.
and Robinson, all them would beat him in the ground if he... didn't get
Well, there was a lot of physical power forwards back then.
He'd have to guard the worst post player. So
Mhm.
but he would also have a big 7-footer with him that could bang. So the center that he's with would always go up again, would be the one guarding like the Robinson and the Elijah one, and he would have to take the lesser offensive player every time. Offensively, I don't know. So a lot of his stuff was still around the paint. He just kind of got to his little spots like right outside the paint and shot. And then he would just stretch it out every once in a while. The way I feel like about with great players like that, like with your point about how they didn't like that stuff back then, the game changes because of great players that start doing this stuff, and then people realize it, and that's why it changes. The NBA didn't shoot this many threes until someone saw, until Mark Jackson saw Steph Curry start going crazy, and then he was so good at it, they told him to keep doing it and do it more and more and more. So if someone sees Dirk start stretching the floor or being a stretch four, and they're going to encourage it, I think, if he has a good coach. You get what I'm saying?
No, I understand what you're saying, and I also agree with your first point. I don't know that Dirk would have been 26 points a game, but I think Dirk did enough scoring in the post with his turnaround jumper and his up and under, that he could have been a decent post player earlier on.
Yeah,
that's just my opinion. So speaking of some post players, I did the matchups again, like I've done in some other episodes, the head-to-head matchups with some of his contemporaries, because he played so long in the same conference as KG and Duncan, and also played quite a bit with C-Web, all guys that have made some lists. So I compared. I did C-Web first. In 21 games against C-Web, regular season, Dirk averaged 21, 8, and 2, a little less than a block, a little less than a steal on 48, 40, and 86. So some really nice percentages, pretty decent stats there. C-Web against Dirk in those obviously same 21 games averaged 22, 10, and 4. Stealing a block on 52, 22, and 59.
Huh. Interesting.
Obviously, like we talked about in the C-Web episode, this is probably, C-Web one season shoots 85% from the free throw line, and the next season shoots 50% from the free throw line. You don't know what you're going to get, but he shot 59% from the free throw line against Dirk in his career. I don't know.
Was it 22% from 3-point line?
Yeah, 22% from 3-point line. But he had a season there where he shot 45% from 3.
Oh my God.
You
didn't know it.
It sounds like
it was contract time.
Sounds like his
yeah,
box.
yeah.
Sounds like his box score was a smidge bit better, but he was less efficient.
Well, he shot 52% from the field.
But
So
the other two were really bad.
yeah, and yeah, he scores one more point, grabs a couple more boards, has a couple more assists, a little bit more block and steal.
You have the win-loss stuff.
I did not write down the win-loss stuff. I probably should have, huh? I did not write that down. I apologize. And then I went to Duncan. Against Duncan, they played 57 games, regular season games. Dirk averaged 20 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, a little less on the steal and the block. 45, 36, 88. So not bad efficiency, but quite a bit less efficiency than against C-Web. Down at 1 point. But other than that, pretty identical statistically there. Duncan versus Dirk is 20 points, 11 rebounds, 3 assists, half a steal, 2 blocks, 50, and 71%. He didn't shoot any threes, so I don't have a 3-point percentage for him. So they average the same amount of points. Duncan out rebounds them out of system, blocks. 5% more efficient, and Dirk is obviously the better free throw shooter. So not ridiculously outclassed there by Duncan. Then we move on to KG. Dirk in 37 games against KG is 23, 8, and 2, about half a steal and a little less than a block. 46, 40, and 89. And then KG versus Dirk is 21, 11, and 4 on steal and a block. 52, 29, and 79. I didn't know whether to include his 3-point percentage. I didn't look to see how many 3-pointers he took, but he averaged like 0.4 a game. So I don't know what that comes out to in 37 games. But
Every other game he was shooting.
yeah, but he shot 29% on them. But yeah.
It's not like he holds his own, at least.
Yeah, I mean, he holds his own everywhere but on the boards. And block shots. That's really where he comes up short.
But he outshoots all of them.
Yeah.
From 3 in the
from 3 in the free throw line anyway. They all outshoot him from the field.
Yeah. Well, they're all scoring down low. He's stretching the floor, so that's
I did this, and I also had a point afterwards. I think Dirk is a weird case because Dirk has flaws, and they're very, very visible. His contemporaries, every single one of them, beat him up on the boards. I mean, it just is what it is. I mean, he just wasn't a great rebounder. He's a solid rebounder. He's not a terrible rebounder. He's just not great. We talked about his defensive shortcomings. But I think it makes for a interesting case study because, like Wade said, his title run is just so damn impressive. And he is playing, maybe I'm overlooking something, so I'm literally asking the room here. Do we have a set of contemporaries that play the same position and play almost their entire careers together, that like Dirk, KG, and Duncan? Because they're almost year for year, like the same careers. They all play the same position, and they're in the same damn conference for almost the entirety of all their careers. Do we have another group of players like that?
probably just the centers from the 90s.
I forget. The centers.
Olajuwon, Robinson, Ewing, Shaq.
Yeah. Good point, Wade. Good
But
point.
other than that, I would say probably not.
No. That was a very good point, Wade. But yeah, it's so crazy that those three played like that whole time together.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's all I had for the matchup stuff. Anybody else have anything to add?
Oh,
No.
I mean, just with Dirk, I mean, my main thing was just his offensive versatility, and you can do so much more as a team with him as your offensive power forward due to his ability to stretch the floor and shoot from anywhere, which wasn't necessarily the case with all the other guys. Like, that's his advantage, while his disadvantage is what you just said. And then, like, just to really kind of put it into perspective about how good of a shooter he was. Everyone knows Larry Bird's one of the greatest shooters ever. He's a better three-point shooter than Larry Bird. Their free throw percentage is like 1 point apart, and then Bird gets them by like 1.5 percentage points on field goal percentage. So like he's on the same platform as Larry Bird as far as efficiency shooting the basketball, which is like I just try to use everyone views Larry Bird as an amazing shooter, which he was. So like that's how good at shooting he was. Like he was phenomenal offensively shooting the basketball.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Was it the KD episode where we talked about, dude, what if Dirk played with LeBron James?
Yeah.
Or like, dude, what would LeBron and Dirk have been able to do together? The pick and roll or pick and pop in the middle of the floor.
Right.
With those two would have just been holy cow. But Dirk never ever had that guy. Never had a guy that he could not only run the pick and roll with, but garnered so much attention. Like he could run the pick and roll with guys. I mean, Jason Terry was there, and Kidd was there at the end of his career, and Nash at the beginning of his career, and whoever else we're forgetting. Nick Van Exel was there for a few years and stuff like that.
Howard and Finley.
Yeah, but nobody that garnered the attention of a superstar. Dirk never had that luxury.
Yeah, and he made the Mavericks. They were always like a top 4 or 5 seed in the West there for a while.
Yeah,
always.
once he hit his stride, yeah, and he had multiple multiple 60-win seasons.
Yeah, they were always great, and he was always a lone superstar.
Mm-hmm.
And they did have some shortcomings a couple of years in the playoffs, but I mean, he carried that franchise for a long time, long time, and he was an amazing player for at least 10 years, maybe 12 years before he starts to decline a little bit. But I mean, in his prime, he's a top 5 or 6 player in the NBA for a very long portion of some of those 2000s.
Yeah.
I mean, it's him, it's Kobe, Duncan, KG.
Then you have some other guys that slip in and out.
Yeah.
T-Mac was there for a couple years, and he fell out. Shaq was there for a couple years before he fell off.
Yeah.
He was there was guys in and out.
LeBron comes in during part of it.
Mm-hmm.
In the real early 2000s, you have that shooting guard and small forward era of VC, T-Mac, AI, Pierce, Ray Allen.
You also got Steve Nash in there for a couple of years.
Nash. So, there's a lot of guys, but he's always in that top 5 or 6 from probably 2001-ish, 2-ish, all the way down to 12 and 13 season, probably before he starts to decline. Somewhere in there.
I know we always ask what if questions, but so I'll ask this one about Dirk. What if Dirk didn't play at the same time as KG and Duncan? What do you think that does to his career?
I don't know. I feel like he still gets a lot of respect. I don't know. It's tricky. There's so many variables. I don't know. It's hard to say right off the bat.
Depends on what he does.
Like, and where is he playing? Who he ends up playing with? I don't know.
Let's just do it like this. Dirk doesn't move. Dirk is drafted in '98, goes to Dallas, plays with the same rosters, same time period. But KG and Duncan played in the '80s.
Well, and he's the best power forward of a generation.
Probably he makes a couple more finals appearances.
Yeah.
He's going to have to. If he doesn't, then I think he doesn't have as much.
Because I'm sure he got stopped by Duncan in the West a few times.
Oh, I'm sure he did. Yeah.
So that's probably a good point, Drew.
I'm sure his accolades are better. He probably has more All-NBAs or more, whatever the case.
Yeah.
You lose 2 great players at his position if they fight for those spots.
Also
All-NBA
crazy
teams.
to think he made 12 All-NBAs while playing with those 2 at the same time.
Right. I mean,
That's
you're
really
probably
impressive.
looking at first team, second team, third team power forward every year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very close to, anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, everyone considers him one of the greatest power forwards ever. It just, if they're not there, then he gets the nod of the best power forward of that early to mid 2000s, probably into the 2010s.
All right, I'll take it a step further then. What if instead of playing at the same time as those 2, he plays at the same time as Barkley and Malone?
Well, he gets a chip. They don't. So I don't know.
I know. He's the only one of the 3 of them has a ring.
But he does have to worry about them every year. Barkley for about 5 years there in Phoenix, but Malone the whole time in the West, so he's got to see him.
I mean, Malone is the stat monster of the power forward position. So that's never going to go away. And Barkley is similar in his own right. I don't know.
I think
It's
they'd be
tricky.
cool matchups because they'd be totally different. I can see Barkley being physical, Dirk, but then I see Malone in Stockton taking
Dirk would
advantage
just
of
shoot
him.
over top of Barkley every play.
Yeah, but Barkley would be yelling at him, calling him names.
Oh, definitely.
Well, knocking him down.
Yeah.
I mean, Barkley would definitely get physical with him.
Calling him you white goofy.
Well, here's one thing I thought about was, first off, as Wade's mentioned, Dirk's going to pull you away from the rim. Now, you see these rebound matchups in the ones I talked about earlier with C-Webb and Duncan and KG. They all out-rebound him, but none of them put up huge rebounding numbers. And I just, in my head, attributed that to you're spending too much time standing on the perimeter with Dirk and not getting defensive rebounds because you're standing in three-point land.
It's probably true.
So, how much does it hurt those Jazz teams if your best rebounder and Karl Malone is standing in three-point land?
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
I mean, and Charles Barkley is the round mound of rebound.
That's true.
So, I mean, he was usually his team's best rebounder as well. Yeah, that's a good point.
That would not be good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
All right.
right. Stockton, the boys, start rebounding.
Yeah.
We got problems.
Stockton,
Hornacek, get
yeah,
in
so
there.
Stockton and Hornacek get in there,
Or
rebound.
Tell Oyster Tag to step up his game.
Anybody got anything else for litigation?
No.
No, I don't think so.
All right, litigation.
Dun, dun, dun.
Ray, what's up, man?
What's up?
Why do you have Dirk ranked ahead of Shaq?
Right.
Come on, man.
Oh, let's see here.
What did Shaq Daddy do to you?
Let me see this.
Where?
Man, it's like, I don't know, pinching numbers here.
Yeah, it's only a couple spots, but
It's like a spot.
Yeah,
we're talking about your
15 and 15.
yeah, but it's
No,
like
I get it. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe because Dirk was just on his own, I guess. I don't know. I mean, fuck, I can't tell you.
What do you mean Dirk was on his own? Shaq was on his own for like 5 years straight.
No. He was over there with Kobe. We ain't going to count the Magic time. I don't know if we can really count that. That was such a fucking discombobbled mess down there. I mean, he had Kobe there with the Lakers knocking shit out of the park. And then you have Dirk over there on the Lonely Island trying to get these misfit toys to work with him. So maybe I gave him the nod for that one. But fuck, I don't know. It's been forever.
All right, I got one more for you, Ray. Very similar.
Okay.
Why is Dirk ahead of Kobe?
Ooh.
Where's Kobe? Oh, he's 16. Okay. He has them all right, baby.
Yeah, he does.
Okay.
I mean, those two are really the most similar, to be totally honest. They both were offensive monsters, and I mean, neither one really played a whole lot of defense. So
Yeah, I don't agree with you there either. We went over this a couple episodes ago, and you said Kobe didn't play defense. And I was like, he's a 12-time All-Defensive player.
oh, whatever. That's called. Hey, let's give a fucking award to the popular boy at school here. Man, fuck that shit. Anyway, I mean, you're just really kind of hitting hate. Same fucking thing. I can't even think of the word here, but anyway. It's, scoring versus scoring there. It's, you like the guy or not, I don't know.
Every time I look at your list, my eyes go straight to Bob fucking Cousy.
Mine don't go to Bob Cousy. Mine go to Scottie Pippen at 9.
You're welcome. Enjoy that one. I don't know. I don't know. It was a tough call. I mean,
Was it really?
it really is. I mean, they're both scoring machines, man, to be totally honest. I mean, one got one title, the other one was pretty clutch all the time. I mean, they were both monster scorers. I mean, I don't know what else. I mean,
I guess to your credit, Dirk did score more points than Shaq in his career. Kobe, I think they're close. They're somewhere right around each other.
yeah. I mean, Kobe's had more clutch moments and more, highlighted accolades, but I mean, Dirk was such a monster on his own. Kobe's always had somebody with him. It would have been an old superstar, or it was a Shaq or something. Dirk's always fucking threw it down by itself, pretty much. I mean, Kobe's got 5 titles. Dirk's got 1. I mean, I've already said I don't give a fuck about the titles. You show me the skill set.
Well, you don't give a fuck about titles unless it's beneficial. Unless it's beneficial to your argument, then you really care about titles.
Exactly. So
You don't give a fuck about titles. We're talking about Reggie.
that's true. You're absolutely right.
Or Scottie Pippen, 6 titles, and Bob Cousy's
6 titles.
6
Six
titles.
I can't remember. I'm trying to look.
Yep. It all works in my favor. But yeah, that's where I'm at. I don't know. I mean, it's just maybe I like Dirk a little bit more than the other two, and I think I kind of do. So there we are.
All right, Ray. I'll leave you alone. Drew.
Oh, boy.
Well, you touched on one of them earlier. Why is Anthony Davis ahead of Dirk?
Yeah. Like I explained earlier, coming off championship as a Lakers fan, I was riding high. We're not riding as high anymore right now.
You're not as big a fan of street clothes?
No, I'm not. He can't do anything in street clothes. He can't help the team. Well, Westbrook could help the team. He was in street clothes. solid point.
Damn.
Did you see he shot that right down top of the backboard from like 12 feet?
That was against my Magic.
I could shoot better than that.
Oh yeah, I don't doubt that.
Oh my God! Yeah. God, that was a horrible fucking
After
shot.
this year, Uncle Doug, you and me might have to take Westbrook off our list.
Hey, another guy that LeBron made better.
Yeah.
Beneficial.
Gary Payton's looking awful good at the end of my list.
That's right, Wade.
Off Westbrook goes. That Heat title's looking really good.
We may be in trouble on that one, Wade.
Well, I'm still not going to bring up the Heat title. What about defensive teams looking good?
Yeah.
Oh. But yeah, I'll tell you right now, Dirk's going to have Anthony Davis and probably Elvin Hayes because we talked about his crisis.
Okay, so let me ask you this, Drew. How down on Davis are you? Are you Davis is coming down below Dirk, or Davis is coming off my list?
Let me look and see who else. I think he's going to stay on my list. I don't want to give away everything about my list, but I've been thinking about it. But I think he's going to come down, but I think he's still going to make it at this point in time.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. All right. My next one here, Drew. Talking about scoring guys. Why'd you give Gervin the nod over Dirk?
Ooh. Let me tell you what I was thinking. Like I always do. Let me find my George Gervin page. Oh, I turned right to it. I think he scored 5 more points, and that the rebounding was so close between. I mean, it's 5 to 7. So I don't know. I just kind of. I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you
one thing. I think that's why I knocked Dirk down because I think power forwards rebound like everyone else rebounds so well, and you have him at 7.5. I'm like, I don't know. I think that's part of the reason why.
You know, I think at the end of his career, when he let's be honest, he stuck around too long. His rebounding numbers really came down, and his points per game came down, but it wasn't as devastating to his scoring as it was to his rebounding.
In his prime, he gets 8 to 10 for
Yeah.
like a decade straight.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess what I was saying. I guess what I was asking you. So you're saying like that those 5 points are worth the championship and the MVP?
Yeah, that's another. I don't think early when I was looking at this, I don't think I valued this championship as much. I think that's going to bring him up overall. Let me look at my list here. I have him at 37 and right behind Jason Kidd, who they had the same championship. So that's an automatic one spot up. James Harden's next. I don't know. Anthony Davis, that's another spot we're moving up. I might move him ahead of Charles because they both have an MVP, and then championship, that might be another spot up. Then you get the KG, but I think I'm moving KG up, so they might move up together past some other people. So.
All right. Well, that's actually all I have for you, Drew. I know you had him really low, but there was like a bunch of guys I could ask about. I just picked out a couple.
Oh yeah, you could. Yeah, there's definitely some guys. We'll just keep it at that.
Uncle Doug,
Yes,
I
sir.
just got one for you.
Okay.
Why'd you take Wade's guy AI ahead of Dirk?
Well, I'm gonna have to look at my numbers here.
So part of it's because he averaged 26 points a game.
That's pretty much. And AI does have an MVP. He doesn't have a title, but he's got an MVP and the 26 points. Sorry, Wade. I know. I know AI is not your favorite.
All right. Well, I feel like we've talked AI a lot, so I'll leave that alone. But
I didn't even make a comment.
I was waiting for him to say, double his win shares.
That is true. I already said that, though.
and Willard, I have one for you, sir.
Okay.
It's an interesting one. 2 shooters. One of them has an MVP. One of them has multiple. One of them has a title. One of them has multiple. So, and you like them both. So I thought I'd ask.
Okay.
Why Dirk ahead of Curry?
So, old Curry. Well, if Dirk played on some of those Warriors teams, some of that talent, he probably had a similar amount of championships. For starters.
Fair enough.
Then the boring excuse that a lot of us use, Curry's still playing. So it's then you go with Dirk's longevity, his consistency, his career totals. I'm pretty sure Curry still has 13,000 points to go to catch him, and
Is it really that many?
and Steph has 18 or 19,000 points.
I honestly don't know.
I think it's around 18 or 19,000, and Dirk's over 30,000. And And yeah. And, well, I do like Curry, and I think he definitely deserved one of his MVPs, but we've also argued he might have not have deserved the first one. I believe it's the first one that he probably didn't deserve.
Steph Curry has 19,000 points, while Dirk has 31. So, yeah, there is quite the gap there.
So, yeah. And Dirk was reliable. He played a ton of games, and not until the very end of his career. He was durable. That's what I'm looking for. Mm-hmm. Steph isn't always durable. He hasn't. I just don't think he's just not up to Dirk Nowitzki's level yet as far as career totals and some of those accomplishments. And he's not up there in All-Star games or All-NBAs or all that. And Dirk's one title is more impressive than all of Steph's, I'd say.
I would agree with you.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, that's all I got for litigation. Does anybody have anything for me before we end it?
I just got one thing to say.
Oh.
Steph sure wasn't durable the other night when he got beat by the Pacers B team.
Oh man.
Oh, let's see. Let me see if I can find.
By the way, I will say this: pretty much everybody in this room, including myself, bags on Draymond. We all have snide comments about the guy.
Yeah.
Things like that. Things really fall apart in Golden State when he doesn't play.
Yeah, that is true.
That's true.
Yeah.
He's way more important to that team than we give him credit for.
Well, I don't diss on him for not being important. He's always been a glue guy. And he's good at a lot of things. He's just not a superstar. That there for a while, people made him out to be this first ballot Hall of Fame superstar player, and he's a really good NBA player. He was just so overhyped, I think, for a while.
Yeah, they're calling him an all-star.
While he's been a really, really good defender, he's not on the level as some of the people they put him on the level of, in my opinion.
He's 2-time All-NBA and made 3 All-Star teams. And this is not me arguing against you. You know how I feel about Draymond. He's 6-time All-Defense. He's starting to develop a decent resume.
Yeah, Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, I mean, he has a Defensive Player of the Year, and he's a 3-time champ. I mean, and this is not me saying I think he's better than him, but if you compare their accolades, he has more accolades than Rodman. He has more All-Star appearances. He has more All-NBAs. He's only a few less All-Defensive teams. He'll probably end up with more All-Defensive teams before it's all said and done.
He's not as good as Rodman.
No, I don't think he is. I just... So, I mean, it's his resume in the 10 years from now, when our kids are sitting here discussing who's better, they're just going to pull this up and go, well, Draymond has a bunch more accolades than Rodman, so he's probably better.
That's true.
Maybe.
Well,
He's probably going to come marching in.
Cali won't stand for that.
No. I'm going to get a Rodman jersey and I'm going to stand strong. Stand strong. Rodman has multiple NBAs, doesn't he? I had 2 or 3.
I had to stand up.
It was a low number.
He had 1, but I'll look. Hold on.
I thought he had 2, but could be wrong.
You never know with Rodman.
Well, you're right. He has 2.
Yeah.
So he has the same amount of All-NBAs as Draymond, and 1 less All-Star, and 2 more All-Defense. So Green will make All-Defense this year.
Yeah.
So if he makes 1 more, he'll tie Rodman for the same amount of All-Defense teams.
Rodman's got 2 Defensive Player of the Year awards.
Yeah.
And he's got 5 chips to his 3.
Mm-hmm. By the way, the Warriors are better this year than I thought they were going to be.
Yeah.
I didn't think they were going to be bad, but they're balling.
Doesn't Rodman have 10 rebounding titles?
7.
7.
I think what would we say? He had 6 straight or something like that.
Yeah.
When he was hunting rebounds.
Well, some of his rebounding totals almost triple some of Draymond's. I think he got as high as 18.
I don't think Draymond's ever had a double-digit rebound season.
No, he usually hovers around that 7 to 8 area. Maybe 6 on some seasons.
Where Draymond separates himself offensively is with his passing.
Yeah.
It's not his scoring for sure, and it's not his rebounding. So,
well, him and Curry take turns running the offense.
Yeah. All right. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I just got one.
Okay. Sorry.
I always forget to look at your list.
You got Dirk at 14.
Mm-hmm.
You have Durant at 22.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty similar guys.
Yep.
Why such a big gap?
I mean, I've been pretty consistent with I want guys to finish up their career, and I talked about in the Drain episode 2 weeks ago, how I thought him doing in that series against the Bucks, which is essentially what Dirk did for an entire playoff run, was more impressive to me than what he did with the Warriors. And Dirk did that and got a championship with it. So I really elevate Dirk because of his championship run. And they're different positions, so the expectations are different. But the rebounding doesn't come into play with Durant because Dirk and Durant's rebounding numbers are very similar. So it's not like Durant's beating him up on the boards or with all defensive teams or anything like that because he doesn't have any of those either. So it just that's why.
Okay, sweet.
I got two for you.
Okay,
I got two that stuck out to me. First one, why Stockton ahead of Dirk?
Now that I'm sitting here, I don't even know that I realized I had Stockton ahead of Dirk.
Yeah, they're right next to each other. It's Stockton 13, Dirk 14. That's.
I don't know. Probably because Stockton's so high on my point guard list, and
fell into the trap.
He probably came off. I felt like I needed to bring a point guard off.
And the other one that stuck out to me, I guess I could do two, but why you have in the opposite way. You have Dirk at 14, and then you have Wilt all the way down at 19.
Well, it's no secret. I have a lot of issues with Wilt.
Yeah.
And Wilt was never, ever able to do what Dirk did. He was never able to put a team on his back and be like, hey, watch this, and go win a championship. He had to put together his own version of super teams to win championships. And let's be honest, Wilt was just, for long periods of his career, Wilt was a little bitch. And where he gave up on his team and, wouldn't show up and, would pout because somebody wrote an article about him saying he didn't pass enough, so he would refuse to shoot for games on end, things like that. Those are all things that are coming out in the Wilt episode, which is actually coming up relatively quickly, I believe.
Yeah.
I believe the Wilt Russell episodes are close together and they're coming up.
Good. Did you have one, Drew?
No, I didn't.
Okay. I didn't. I might as well do the third one. Did you have one, Uncle Doug?
Nope.
And the other one that stuck out was you also have Moses quite a bit below Dirk.
I don't know.
Good answer.
Yeah, those are the three that stuck out to me.
No, I think Moses has come up a few times for me on my list, and maybe I need to look at Moses again when we redo these.
He should be coming up soon too.
I would assume so. I don't know for a fact, but I would assume so.
Yeah, it's just a couple weeks.
I don't know where I'm at on Moses compared to everybody else, but I do believe I have Wilt the lowest of everybody by quite a bit.
Well, I will admit I'm probably in a similar boat to you with Moses because he's such a great all-time player, but he is like in that 4 to 6 or 7 range on all of our center lists. So it's goofy having a guy so far down one position list, even though when you actually compare him to other players on the overall list, he probably should be above them, but you don't check him off as soon as you do the other ones.
Yeah, because he's got 3 MVPs.
He's got a bunch of rebounding titles. He's got a chip. He's got a crazy totals.
And his championship is another one of those where he was like, "Hey guys, come along for this ride."
Right. Oh yeah.
Who wants a ring?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people give, I think, Dr. J a little too much credit for that, which he was still good, but Moses was by far the best player.
By the way, guys, I have to tell you, I don't think I'd ever seen Mark so mad at us before.
Oh gosh.
Oh, he was so upset after the Dr. J episode. You would have thought we would have said Dr. J sucks ass and couldn't dribble a basketball or something. He was so upset with us about how much we didn't give Doc enough credit and how much better Doc was. He was so mad none of us had Doc in the top 10.
I got I got one that'll piss him off a little more. They laid out a pretty good reason on one of the podcasts I was listening to. Not only was Moses better, but they had Dr. J as the third best player on the championship team.
Yeah, behind Doug Collins or
No.
Maurice Cheeks.
No.
The forward, that was
damn name.
defensive guy.
Bobby Jones.
Robbie Jones.
Maybe. I have to relook it up. It was on Bill Simmons. It was him and Jackie McMullen, I
No,
believe.
in Bill Simmons' book, he has him listed as the third best player on the championship team.
Yeah. So, I mean,
No, Bill Simmons has him 15th on his
Yeah.
all-time list. So it's not like Bill Simmons hates on him. But
I think Bill Simmons, a lot of that is he had a large impact outside of just playing basketball, on basketball, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
I think that factored in a lot, which he did. Which I even tried to make an effort to bring that up in the episode.
no, I try to get this point across to Mark because he won't stop and think about what I'm actually saying. So maybe hearing it again on this episode will help him. He's like, you said that his popularity outshined how, he was more popular than he was good. And I did say that. But that doesn't mean you suck. Like, AI was more popular than he was good. In popularity, like, AI was the number one jersey sale in basketball for years and years. He was not the number one player in basketball for years and years.
In his prime, I mean, Shaq was the best player. Kobe came along and overtook him.
Duncan.
Dirk was there.
Yeah, Dirk and KG were up and coming. There was still T-Mac and Vince and Pierce and Ray Allen all right there with him.
Yeah, so it's like you can be a superstar and be more popular than you are good as a basketball player. It's possible to be overrated and still great.
I mean, we all had him pretty high on our list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mark's just butthurt because that's his all-time favorite player.
It's funny to hear you say that.
I'm just poking at Mark now because I know he's going to listen to this and blow my phone up. All right, so closing statements, guys?
Yeah.
All right, so reverse order here. We can go with Drew.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll go. Oh, well, I was alive for this, and I think Wade said it earlier. This is obviously the greatest championship by a single player.
The neighbors are freaking out.
Sorry, guys. Yeah, this is probably the best player to boost a career that I've seen in my lifetime, if not the best one of all time. So, and like Wade said at the beginning of all this, we're at the point where everyone now has great accolades. There's no doubt. Dirk I saw him for all my life basically. I saw probably more old Dirk than I did young Dirk, but I still saw prime Dirk. So,
Uncle Doug?
Yeah, as everybody said, great championship, but great career. And as Wade pointed out, great scorer. He kind of, maybe he was the transition. Maybe he was the reason power forwards became more scorers because he was so successful. It's just a great player.
Yeah, that's me. I think we've said pretty much everything there is to say about Dirk, but I'll just leave it with this. I don't know, and maybe I'm trying to think of how to word this, sorry. I don't know that we've ever seen a championship be this important to a player's legacy.
Good point.
Because I think if he'd have lost that finals, he might completely come off my list.
ooh,
Strong statement.
yeah,
And you think about what his rep was at that point. His rep was he was a choke artist. And if he would have lost and never won a championship, I don't know that he would ever have shaken that. And he already has some glaring weaknesses in his game. So I don't know. I'm just throwing that out. I don't know for sure where he would rank in my power forwards. I'm just saying, I think his championship and the way he won it. Because if he'd have joined up with, that Heat team and caught on a championship, it wouldn't have been the same. But he went out there, put a team on his back with no other superstars, and took them to a championship and solidified his legacy. And you just can't touch it. You can't. Even our kids are going to go back and look at that championship run and go, "Holy cow!" And that's what did it for Dirk.
Honestly, I could see myself being kind of in that same boat. That's kind of what I did with Chris Paul. Honestly,
I thought you were going to say, "Well, I just put my team on my back and I."
No. That's what Chris Paul's done for my lifetime. Like, if I would, that's all I would have seen. Dirk is him just choking the Tim Duncan, and Kobe, and then Durant later on. I mean, that's all I would have seen. So.
Mm-hmm. Ray?
All right. So we got players that are great, and sometimes they don't mature. You have great players that are just like solid throughout their whole career. Then you have Dirk, who was consistently good. He matured, and when he hit that 2011 finals, he finally broke out of the choke artist mode, as you like to say, grit and grind, and matured to the level that he was supposed to be at years before. Sometimes it takes longer for players. Sometimes they're just off the bat. But that fucking finals showed that Dirk, longevity, and his skill set, and his heart, and his mentality, grinded out, and he submitted his ass, and he told everybody to go fuck off. This is my title, and I'm a great goddamn player. And that's what happened with Dirk. Other people got left behind. Dirk showed everybody that I'm not this choke artist. And he showed everybody up, and he said, this is my shit, so fuck off, leave me alone, I got a chip. Go kiss somebody else's ass now, because you ain't worth my time anymore. And that's Dirk, and that's I'm going to leave it at that.
And Wade.
Well, just kind of one last point on the championship. It wasn't just that how well he played; it's who he beat.
Mm-hmm.
He beat one of the most talented and most athletic teams that have ever been assembled in the history of the NBA. And he beat them as the lone superstar. I know I've said that a couple times, but it's important.
I just want to point this out real quick. I'm not trying to interrupt, Wade. I can't believe it's taking us 72 minutes to bring this up. I don't know how I went this long without talking about how he beat the Heat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're talking about prime LeBron, prime D-Wade, prime Chris Bosh. And they had a bunch of good role players on top of all that. I won't get into the whole team, but yeah. So it wasn't just how well he played; it's who he beat. He is the greatest stretch forward in the history of basketball, and he is as high on my list as he is because of the championship and because of his offensive versatility and ability. That's what made him. That's what made him great. That was his advantage on other power forwards. And like I stated in the beginning, offensively, I would pick him over every other power forward. That's it.
All right. Well, thank you, Wade, for bringing that up. Like I said, I can't believe we went that long without bringing up him beating the Heat super team.
Yeah, because nobody likes LeBron, so who's going to bring his dumb ass up?
Well, we could have used it to hate on LeBron because that's probably the biggest tarnish to LeBron's legacy is that loss.
Yeah.
They were so heavily favored in that finals.
Don't worry, we got a list of LeBron for later. So don't worry, we got a whole episode to write down his fucking hate time.
Oh, yeah.
So
We got.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, poor Shaller.
Some of us are going to have to say positive things about him. He's in everyone's top 10.
he shoots good, he can pass good, he's a real good player.
He uses his body to his advantage.
All right.
But he wants.
Go Dirk.
And that will be the end of our Dirk Nowitzki portion of this episode, and we will move on to trivia.
What you got, Drew?
Drew?
Let's go, Drew. I just want to beat Alex to it.
What player got the most fouls in an NBA game?
You can only have 6, right?
Nope.
Ah.
Someone got 7.
Can I tell you the team he played for?
I think I'm going to need a name.
7 fouls.
I don't know how you get 7 fouls.
They didn't
forgot.
mark the 6th
They
foul
didn't
down.
mark a 6th one.
The scorekeeper forgot to mark it down, and then he fouled out with his 7th one a couple minutes later.
Huh. Okay.
Interesting. So how afterwards? Did they just like the other team like threw a fit or something? Or?
They just caught it after the game.
I'll try and read the story
over the video or whatever.
All right, I gotta guess.
I got to guess.
Oh my gosh. Oh, this eraser sucks.
I think I know which team he played for. I might be wrong, actually.
All right. Everyone ready?
Well, I'll just write something down. Yep, go ahead.
I said the white guy from the Hawks.
I said Rasheed Wallace.
So did I.
I just said Dwight Howard.
It is the white guy from the Hawks.
And you got a name?
It's Cal Ballard.
Cal Ballard. Oh,
You got me.
He played.
Sneaky question.
He was in the 99 draft.
99?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Good for old Cal, I guess.
Yeah. I knew what he looked like and everything. I was in
Same way I did that earlier with that guy that had that question you asked a couple weeks ago, and I said the white guy from Thunder.
Yeah. Josh Giddey. All right.
I got one. That's cool with everybody.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. You guys are going to laugh about this first part. The player with the most missed three-pointers in NBA history is James Harden. Already.
He has more misses than anybody?
Yes, he already has 4,466 missed three-pointers in his career. He is number one all time. Number two is Ray Allen. Shot a lot of threes, played a long time. Who rounds out the top three and is third all time with 4,158?
I have a couple guys that I feel like should be obvious, but I don't know if it's obvious. Because we like to throw each other for loops. And the neighbors are mad.
Yeah.
Again.
Give it down.
All right, I got one.
Isn't that crazy, though? James Harden already has the most missed
Yeah.
three-pointers of all time.
I think I got a screenshot of this, but I can't remember who's all on the picture.
I'm going with a little crazier guess. Not crazy, but crazier guess against my better judgment, so I hope I didn't screw
believe
this
your
up.
boy is in the... Yeah, Reggie's 5.
Yep, I know. I can't remember who else is there. I'm taking
Alright.
a guess.
All right, what we got?
I put Westbrook.
I put Kyle Korver.
I said Steph.
Yeah.
Steph is 4. Westbrook is not on it. Who did you say, Korver? Korver's not on it.
Oh.
3 is Jamal Crawford.
Wow.
And then you go Steph, Reggie, LeBron at 6.
I about said LeBron.
Vince, Jason Terry, Kobe, and J. Kidd.
Mm.
And out of those 10, can you guess who had the lowest three-point percentage?
Can you name him again real quick?
Harden, Allen, Jamal Crawford, Steph, Reggie, LeBron, Vince, Terry, Kobe, Kidd.
Kid.
Anybody else got a guess?
I think Kobe had the
This
lowest.
is just for fun. It's
LeBron.
Kobe.
Mm.
Kobe only shot 32% from 3.
How many more? How far away from Harden is Curry?
Harden's at 4,466, and Steph is at 4,020.
Oh,
So Harden's got him by over 400,
mm,
and he's still jacking him up.
indeed.
Well, it's kind of crazy because you got Steph, Reggie, and Ray Allen, who are all probably the 3 greatest three-point shooters ever. So you don't care about them missing that many. And then you kind of have Vince, Terry, and Harden, who are all good three-point shooters. It's not great, and they played. Well, 2 of them played for a really long time. Harden just doesn't stop shooting. Then you have LeBron and Kidd, who are just kind of and then Kobe was kind of actually bad at it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of interesting.
That's gonna go with Kobe didn't care.
LeBron's shooting a ton of threes this year.
He is a lot better than what it used to be at threes.
Yeah, he is.
He's actually pretty solid now. All right.
I'll go ahead. I'll go.
You're me.
Unlocker.
Yeah, I thought that was a fun one.
It was.
Okay.
A lot better than Drew's stupid question.
No getting ready for this one. Who was drafted by the Phoenix Suns in 1988, but did not play in the NBA until 1996 with Minnesota?
88 to 96.
Who was drafted by the Phoenix Suns in 1988, but did not play in the NBA until 96 with Minnesota?
So he set out for 8 years after his draft.
Yeah. And then played with a whole different team.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, I guess I have to put a name down.
Those franchises, I don't know that many players. It's real big names.
Well, who would have came in as an old man and played on the Timberwolves?
I'm trying to think back to
Or I
Buddy's
guess
speech about how
a much
their
older
draft
player.
picks got taken away back then. But was it for one of those illegal players they got? Or
That would have been KG's rookie season.
Yeah.
Oh, when were they an expansion team?
89.
They're really that early?
Yeah, I think so.
Really?
89. Yeah.
Okay, we gotta put something down.
I have no idea.
I don't even know that I have a guess.
Yeah, I'm struggling.
I have a thought, but I can't think of the name.
I mean, now that nobody really knows, I'll talk out loud. Like, it's got to be a foreign player, right? Like
Well-
they were drafted and didn't come over yet.
I'm thinking it's one of those guys that played another sport.
But who?
And
That's
then
common with football
came
and
back in.
baseball. But who does that with basketball?
Yeah.
That is a common thing with football and baseball all the time. I don't know. Basketball, that's not as common, I feel like.
I got a TikTok. The Detroit Tigers have drafted more Super Bowl quarterbacks than the Detroit Lions have.
Oh, wow.
The Tigers drafted Patrick Mahomes.
Oh,
they have
gosh.
That's a pretty good TikTok, Drew.
terrible. Or wasn't Russell Wilson drafted by the Yankees? And Tom Brady was drafted by the Expos?
Rangers is who drafted Wilson.
Was it?
Kyler Murray was drafted by the Athletics.
I'm pretty sure Tom Brady got drafted by the Expos in like the 17th round. or
Yeah, he
something.
did the Expos. Yeah.
Anyway, we gotta write a name down, guys.
Yeah.
Wasting my time.
I don't even know.
I don't know. I don't even care if anyone
Yeah,
says
yeah.
it. I'll write a name down.
I'll give you,
No,
if
no.
you want, I'll give you guys first and last initial.
Nah, just, I don't want to get it over with.
All right, first initial D, last name initial G.
Now we gotta sit here and think longer.
Oh man, that's
Okay, I'm just putting something down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Someone gets this. Good fucking job.
yeah. I got an answer written down.
I do too.
But
I'll go first. NA.
But
NA, sorry.
All right.
Doug Gooden.
Okay.
Doug Goldie.
Okay.
Put Danny Green.
Okay. And the correct answer is Dean Garrett.
And do we have a reason he didn't play for 8 years?
Nope. Not a reason.
So
No reason in this one.
now I'm pissed off at your question.
You're welcome.
All right.
I like that.
We'll go with mine. Non-draft question this time. But I am sticking with, trying to relate to the player. I want to know who played the most games with Dirk.
Okay.
Damn.
Good question.
Trying to think, yeah. Oh, shit.
The most games with old Dirkie. Oh man.
I have an answer.
I have an answer as well.
Me too. It's a guess though. I don't feel super strong about it.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the fence about that.
Okay.
All right, what you guys got?
I put Jason Terry.
But Tyson Chandler.
But JJ Barea.
Chandler as well.
Alex, Jason Terry.
Terry.
You know, I really, really liked Jason Terry when he was with Atlanta. Like, he was one of my favorite players in the league for a couple of years when he was in Atlanta.
Really good.
Yeah, it was solid.
Ooh, Alex, you need to write down my point. I think my dad's point from last
Yeah,
week.
last week, the HQ
Since you were
point.
gone.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Oh, good job, Drew, remembering that.
We kind of did our own little scoreboard. We said Wade's lead didn't cut into. Ray wrote it down, too.
Yeah, there was
A
scoreboard.
lot of good it did writing it down if you didn't tell me. So
Well, I thought somebody was going to text you, and I guess that didn't go down.
We got it. It's okay.
But it's okay.
yeah, I only saw Doug and Drew at 2 of Drew's games this week.
Yeah.
All right, so that's me, right?
Yep.
All right, so I went with a Dirk type question, although Dirk is not the answer to this question. So last week, an NBA player is the first player to ever put up the stat line. Okay,
Boy.
he had 24 points, 17 rebounds, 6 assists, and 4 blocks. He's not the first person to ever do that. He's the first person to do it while making 4 threes in the same game. Who did it?
Okay. I got 2 guys in my mind.
I think I know who it is. I kind of remember. I think I watched part of the game, I think.
If it's the other guy that I don't write down, I'll be very flustered.
All right, is that everybody?
Yeah.
So,
I put Vucevic for the Bulls. Definitely didn't spell it right, but
I know you did not.
I put the Joker.
I put the Joker.
Put Embiid.
Correct answer is Nikola Vucevic.
Mm.
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah. Good job, Drew.
Yeah. I knew
So was Vucevic your other one, Wade, or?
well, I knew freaking everyone's been getting hurt for the Bulls. I was watching one of the games and he was just taking over.
All right. After this week's tallies, the scores are as follows. Ray with 20. Doug and Drew both with 44. Alex with 51. And Wade with 58.
Holy shit.
Wade's lead was cut into, and Drew tied Uncle Doug.
Yeah.
Let's go.
All right. So thank you for joining us for our Dirk Nowitzki episode. I was just about to forgot who we talked about all day. Our Dirk Nowitzki episode. And we would appreciate you tuning in next week for our Oscar Robertson episode. And thanks for tuning in to Sports the NEMO Way.